Africans, you look at the Chinese issue. China is loaning money to build infrastructure in African countries, and they were doing it quietly and silently for decades. Now that the time is due for the payment, African countries are losing their country, literally in broad daylight. In 2020, African countries are being colonized by loans that they have taken from China. Nigeria should learn. The reason why it has not affected Nigeria so much is because of the oil resources that Nigeria is using, that is from the Niger Delta. But it will affect Nigeria because Nigeria is involving herself in these loans and these commitments it is making to China. And the people who will pay the price is you and I, because what is used as collateral is the oil and the gas that is in the Niger Delta. So we really need to ask ourselves, we really need to ask our governments of the Niger Delta hard questions. We need to restructure this country. It is still falling down to decentralizing the powers, restructuring the policies. Changing what is on ground is not working. It will not work in our favor. And so if we do not restructure Nigeria, then we must have a referendum. The issue of state police has now shown very clearly, because the Southwest have come together and have said that they are putting up a security force, a police force or whatever. But now it is coming up. People, the Afenifere is arguing, even the OPC is threatening not to be part of it anymore, because at the end of the day, they are bringing in non-Yorubas to come and police Yoruba states for them. Different ethnic nationalities. So I was watching that argument, so I'm sure it has not ended. But I'm just using all of these things to cite as example. Just because it's not happening to us right now, it is not showing right now, does not mean that it will not become an issue for us in the Niger Delta. And that's why I'm raising it now, so that we can actually forestall it. We can actually see the problem that is likely to come. I see no reason why in this decade that governments of the Niger Delta, even starting with Rivers State government, cannot or should not be in a position where investors, why can't the governor of Rivers State, the governor of Delta State, Akwa Ibom State, why can we not discuss with different countries, different investors, different bodies that want to come and invest massively in infrastructure, massively in education, massively in technology, in IT. I've had calls. I've received calls from organizations, from businesses, from investors that want to come into this region. But there are obstacles. And when you are dealing with a federal government that will not allow you by the Constitution to have this right, then we must insist that the Constitution is changed to favor us, because we cannot, as long as the federal government continues to take 87% of our resources and pretends to give us 13% out of that, out of the 100% actually that they are taking, if we are not able to discuss with foreign investors who want to invest their hard-earned dollar to get back their profit and take it out of the country and out of the state, without liaising with China. China is not a good investor. Chinese people they are massive, they are in their billions. They want to relocate some of their people. This is my thinking. They want to relocate their people. Africa is a huge continent. They want to relocate their people into Africa. The resources in Africa, in West Africa, in Nigeria is massive. In Niger Delta is massive. And we cannot sit on our hands as uneducated people. We are educated, we are exposed. We've seen the mistakes of other countries. We must not make those mistakes. In Niger Delta, God has blessed us. We cannot just sit down in the name of being Nigerians. We cannot sit down in Rivers State and allow the future of our future children, generation yet to be born, to be enslaved even before they are born because of some constitution and some laws and regulations. We must change those laws and regulations in our interest for the future. And so the governors have, in my opinion, 1 year has already gone of this 4-year tenure. 1 year has gone. We're in 2020 now, and by 2022 they will start talking about, or even before, they will start talking about 2023 elections. And if we don't discuss the future now, we will be discussing 2023 in a vacuum. As far as I'm concerned, we have no plans for the future. We have only plans for today, and that plan we have for today, we don't even know where it is by the night time. So we really, and the youths have to hear what I am saying. The youths, this is about the youths, but it has to be kick-started by the governors and the senators, and people like me have to speak up and say, this is our concern for our people, for the future. This is our concern. You cannot say that people should just walk into Nigeria and start coming to Port Harcourt and start coming to Abonima and start coming. People are already fishing. The Chinese are already fishing illegally in our waters, in the Atlantic Ocean. We need to address these issues. Our people cannot fish, and yet strangers are fishing in our communities, and the governors of these states are looking at it and saying, oh well, it's one country. No, this is our future and the future of our children. Based on that, where are the lines? 081 8858 8155. Where's the next line? I've read that one. 081 8144 2222. Hello? Okay. Let me read it again. 081 8858 5155. 081 8144 2222. Those are the two lines that are open. Now, it is really in our interest that we get our governors involved in these discussions. We get our senators in. Hello? Well, there is a line. We've answered the call, but hello? Well, we've answered the call, but I'm not hearing anything. I don't know about anybody else. All right. It is our responsibility to ourselves to get our governors, our senators, our lawmakers, representatives, our state assembly members, if they claim to be representing us. I don't know what's happening here. I think we're having technical issues. I hope not. We have to push this for our people. to change their strategy. We need to change our strategy. If the strategy has not worked since 1960 and the new constitution of 1999 have failed us so woefully in the past 1990 to 2000, well, for the past hello. Hello, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Charles, calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay, Mr. Charles, Happy New Year. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. I have two things to, comment or respond to. One is the restructuring.
Yes.
Everybody knows the important economic benefits, the socio-economic and political benefits of restructuring.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has spoken and then drummed it, but the powers that be are not interested.
Okay.
What do we do?
Okay.
Because time is running. We are running against time.
Yeah.
Other countries that we started with, Brazil, Indonesia, Malaysia, and then middle world countries, have all come, beyond us because they are moving with time. Right now, we can't speak as a front as people about the necessities of food. We are dying because of price. Of price, and here, people say we can grow rice because rice is waterlogging.
Yeah.
Grow rice this country, and nothing is happening.
Yeah.
So restructuring, number one. Number two is that let's bring it down to the states. We don't have a long-term plan.
Yes.
I grew up to know that those days, you used to have long-term plans with rolling plans to it. But here, for the past, since the democracy started in 1999, when each government comes in with its own skewed interest, do things that are not sustainable, run around, power their cronies and friends, and then that ends the voting. And that has continued. Is it possible for a place like Rivers, for instance, I'm using the Rivers for example, even a country, to have a long-term economic plan that can have, some short, medium, and long-term plan, such that we will not allow any government, any administration, to go and put in its own programs without fitting into the long-term plan so that there will be continuity. If within the past 20 years of democracy we had continuity in things like agriculture, education, and so on, that dovetails into business. And I am sure that we would have come beyond the few problems we have. But not till now.
Yes.
We don't implement. I also health facilities alone. Also, the people have the money.
Okay, Mr. Charles, let me come in here. What you asked a question. You said because everything you have said here, your preamble is wonderful, and let's take it from there. Now, you asked a very pertinent question. You said, "What do we do?" Because I also know and accept that the powers that be are resisting the call for restructuring, and they've told us that. But when somebody like me keeps saying restructuring, it's not because I'm deaf or it's not because I'm stupid. It's because I want us to face the reality that the restructuring, for me, I know that the time these people will not accept to restructure Nigeria. Now, this your question will kickstart it for me to officially say to you and to everybody else that we must indulge in the next level. We must take it to the next lifting. And what is that lifting? That lifting is we must demand that our governors, our politicians, they are the ones representing us. No matter how bad the situation is, we have governors in all the states that the states have majorly voted in. Whether they are good or they are bad, they have majorly been, we have voted them in. Now, they owe us a responsibility. We're not fighting them. I don't believe that, yes, we're not fighting them. I don't believe that it will get us anywhere. Because I've been around since 1999. I was here on Odili's government. I was here in Amechi's government. And I'm saying that I have seen things that have happened. And I'm saying to fight any politician, any governor or any senator or whatever is not what we should be doing. What we should be doing is telling them why we voted them in there. One of those things you're saying is that we should have a blueprint for a state like, for instance, a state like Rivers State, a state like Delta State. Every state in the region should have its own blueprint. And it doesn't matter if the blueprint, we insist, and Governor Wike keys into it today and says, okay, this my tenure, let us have a blueprint. Let us put together sound minds, not politicians being favoring other people. Let us have sound River State mind. Let us invite investors from outside, Americans, Australians, the British. Let us invite people who are willing to invest their money in. Let them with us look at our state and say to us, in 1 year, you can grow so many tons of rice. You can grow so many tons of sugarcane, because sugarcane can be grown here too. You can grow beans, you can do this, you can do that. And we will buy them. We will create manufacturing industries. We will keep them here. You will be employed. And then we will export them. That is what they're doing outside of Africa. They're doing it. So if you and I agree on that, then you and I means all the millions of people that are living and working in River State and all the River State indigenes. Because if we bring in fishermen, it will bring jobs to my people, because we live in Abonima, we live in Kola, we live in Buguma. If they bring in people to grow yam, it will employ Ikwere people, it will employ Ogoni people, it will employ Ekpeye people. This is what we are saying. I am advocating. And at the beginning of this thing, I said that I have received calls, 2 separate calls at the beginning of this year, from people, big industrialists who are prepared, big organizations who are prepared to invest in infrastructure, in education, in health, in developing these places. They will put their money in, they will bring in the technology, and the rest is up to us. Our governors have to key into this. So with this type of information, I don't know. I mean, if which of the governors is going to want to even listen to me, I don't know. But we need to be able to form a movement that will compel them. That will if today the governor of Rivers State or the governor of Akwa Ibom is prepared, I will put them together with these people. But it has to be in the interest of the region, in the interest of the states, in the interest of the people. Because our people can have, in 2 years, we can turn around the education system in Rivers State. I went to primary school in Abonima. So, but today, I will not send even another person's child to primary school in Abonima, not to talk of my own. So that means that we have regressed in education. And so my appendix was removed in Degama General Hospital in 1968 during the war. Today, I will not take Panadol from a doctor in Degama to drink. So what I'm therefore saying is that it has reached a point where the decision is up to everybody who is listening to me now. We need to work with our politicians, not to fight them, to say, oh, they're building this, they're not building that. Those are not the issues. We can bring in people that will build 10 flyovers that will take you from here to Bonny on a road. We can bring in people that will invest the money and we will pay them back because we can guarantee it with our oil and our resources. Nigeria is guaranteeing all the borrowing it is doing with our oil and our resources. We need to change the law that allows that to happen and puts you and I, Rivers State, Delta State, Bayelsa State, at such a disadvantage that they give us pittance and they say, ask Wike what he has done with 2%, ask Okowa what he has done with 3%. It's not their business. We know how to manage ourselves by now. There are investors that are willing to come in. Are you and I prepared to push and make sure, compel the governors, and thereby compelling a change in the system? And if the federal government refuses to restructure, which it has, then the next thing to do is to call for a referendum of our people. What do we want? Are we going to have uneducated youths for the next decades? So people, this is the question. We can make our changes in our own interest. We have to make the decision to make these changes. We have to compel, we have to accept that to be a politician is not necessarily just one person winning an election. To be a politician is to be interested in what politicians are doing in your name, which is what I've always believed in. I believe in what I want to know the decisions politicians are making in my name. And if it is not working, I want to be able to be a politician enough to say to the politicians that we have put there that this thing you're doing, this decision you're making is not in our interest. We don't have to fight politicians. This is not the time to fight politicians. This is the time to work with them. It is when they refuse to work with us that we will fight them. But as long as they are willing to work with us in our interest, we should be able to push for the next level. Not the type of level these people are talking about, our own type of level. And that level is that we will make the decision. Look, hello? Okay. Well, really and truly, we have to start looking at how we will make changes. If we don't push for these changes will not make themselves. The Constitution as it is does not allow a governor even to have a say in the type of security system he has in his state. That's how bad the system is. So that a governor cannot, even just, let me be local, this common this thing that we wanted to do here in Rivers State, we were denied what's it called, neighborhood watch. We were denied neighborhood watch, whereas other people, in Kano, they have Isba police, and that is a religious police. And yet, Christians don't have a police. So I don't see why our people, our so-called leaders, and that's why me, before somebody will claim to be my leader, you have to tell me where you're leading me. Because if you say you are my leader, you need to tell me where you're leading me to. If we cannot by now have trawlers in Abonima waters, in Wakrike waters, in Boni, in Kola, in Soku, if we don't have trawlers that is owned by River State government or by River State sons and daughters who have brought trawlers in for fishing, and Chinese people are fishing off our waters and stealing our God-given resources, not only oil and gas, fish and prawns and all these things, and Angala and Ngolo and Isam that the oil companies have killed remain for us. You know, all of those things are our resources that God has given to us. You know, so the point we must make is that fishermen are very rich people. All these stockfish and sardine and mackerel that we buy in the supermarket, who do you think who do they manufacture them? No, they catch them in the waters. In what waters? In waters that are abroad. Are they here? Yes, they're here. We have them here, for crying out loud. We have them here. You know, and so, but why are we not involved in fishing, for instance? Why is everybody want to be in oil and gas? When they're in oil and gas, they become like beggars. Are people who are in oil and gas, they don't have oil wells? The people that have oil wells are not even from the Niger Delta. Over 80% or 90% of the privately owned oil wells in Nigeria, being Niger Delta rather, belongs to people that are not from the Niger Delta. And our people who are involved in oil and gas at a very small level are involved at a beggarly level. They are begging. So the little they have, the little that comes to a son or daughter of River State or Niger Delta that is involved in oil and gas, is the equivalent of a spoonful of oil, and they are begging. And so when you want to even speak with them on that issue, they don't even want to discuss it because they want to protect that spoonful that has reached them. That is taken from the crumbs that have fallen from the table that is your own food, and you're now bending down to pick it up, and you're begging. And you want to protect it. And in protecting it, you are actually doing in yourself and everybody else. You know, so this is the way for me that we should be looking at these things. This is our land. The resources in it belong to us. If we're not able to get it by now, are we expecting our grandchildren to come and inherit struggle? Is that what we want? Our grandchildren to inherit struggle? Our politicians today, that their children are teenagers, are they expecting that their children will come back and still be fighting 13%, be struggling to explain what they're doing with 13%? Is that the future for even the politicians? Is that the future that they have for their children? Because that is not the future, because their children don't even have a future. There is no future. Because when their children finish schooling overseas and they come back here, what is available to their children? What is available to other people's children? Even other people's children that have not gone to get the type of education that their children have. What are the future of those children? When a few are going to be privileged and a lot will be disadvantaged, there is a danger there. And we need to correct it now. It can be corrected by the end of this decade. If we get up today, before even 2023 election, we will make a great change in this region and in this country. And we must make that change. We must make that decision to make that change for our people today, and for the children that they will give birth to today, that will inherit the tomorrow that some people are not prepared to think about. So it's not about a government in Niger Delta struggling to build one small road or patch one small road. We have enough resources to break down the whole of the East-West Road as it crisscrosses all the Niger Delta states and build a world standard Julius Berger type of road. But not when you give Julius Berger a $10 billion contract and the value of it is actually 5 billion. You will get 5 billion road, you won't get 10 billion road because the other 10 billion has disappeared. If Julius Berger is being given a road to build for 10 billion, let the value of that road be 10 billion. The value of building a road, 10-mile road in say Ogoni, from Port Harcourt to Ogoni on land, is not the same value of building a 10-kilometer road or bridge from Abonima to Etokola. So these are the considerations that we must have as a people. If we ignore these realities, we're fooling ourselves as a people. And we have been in politics too long, we have been in so-called independence too long, and we have given up so much that to put our feet down today in Nigeria and say, as a people of River State, as a people of Niger Delta, to say enough is enough. If today the governor of any state in the Niger Delta or the governor of River State wants to do certain things that the Constitution does not allow, that should not be the issue. The issue is, will we support him? That should be the issue. Anything that is stopping the governor from using our resources, we should make sure that we support the governor. And the only way that we're going to be able to support the governor is for the governor to make that decision in the interest of his people, that this is what I'm going to do. It's not a one-man fight. It's not a one-man battle. It is a fight for River State. And not one person alone should fight that fight. It is in the interest of River State and in the interest of Rivers people. I don't know. I think because I'm fasting, so I don't even have to drink water. Anyway, it's over. I don't know what happened with the telephone lines. Only one call came through. Well, it also gave me time to express what I think we should be aware of. On that note, thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to next week, and hopefully you will call in and touch on these issues. On that rate, thank you very much, and have a wonderful week. Thank you. Bye-bye.